right. Welcome to the Universal Dork YouTube channel that has just started 15 years too late. I guess the reason why I say that is because this is an extension of Universal Dork blog that has been in existence now for this month 15 years. Just kind of thought that we would bring this to YouTube to see how unsuccessful it can be in a video format.
Dude, we're gonna get upwards of 10s likes or
Yeah.
or even more maybe. I was thinking about the night we kind of like were talking about blogs 15 years ago, sitting at Beulah Land and
Oh yeah.
Portland, just hanging out.
Mhm.
Like, blogs are a thing. People like
Yeah.
blogs. Like, we
Now
could
people don't
totally.
read, right?
No, they
That's what
stopped
I've
reading.
I've been hearing, like I tell people I do a blog and they're like, "Oh God, no one reads anymore."
Nobody reads words.
So we'll
Except it's
see.
coming back. It's coming back through Substack.
I don't know. I've always kind of wanted to try this anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm here with James, who is one of the people that actually initiated the blog a long time ago. So
Yeah, I was a contributor probably twice, probably 14 years ago.
you did a couple, and then you just dropped out of it, which is fine.
I didn't
And I
say a
had it.
word. I just left. I'm like, all right, you're doing this pretty good. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I had a couple other people doing stuff through the years, and I just was the last person standing, I guess. So
Yeah.
here we
Well,
are.
you did it. You held it strong. We've
Yeah.
been, paying for the domain.
Did you pay for the domain this year?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Oh, geez, I need to pay you back then.
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry. Once this YouTube revenue comes strolling in,
Oh, yeah.
they'll pay for like 2 years.
We're bound for major success here. But we're broadcasting
Major.
here, or at least I am, from Universal Dork headquarters at Hollywood Babylon in Portland, Oregon. This is a storefront. I talk about it on Movie Melt all the time. It's another podcast that I've been going on. For today, we're going to be talking about this movie, No Holds Barred,
No
which
holds
is,
barred.
and I have it playing in the background here on
Oh, I
the
see it. Is
TV VCR.
Rips
Yep.
back there?
Here it is. I found this about a week ago at the Goodwill bins. So I know there's a lot of people who are collecting VHS now, and the bins, you can still find good stuff there, though not like, I used to find the craziest, greatest shit. Like now it's really either picked over, or I don't know if they were dumping a video store. So the
Yeah.
Goodwill bins, if you don't know what the Goodwill bins are, it's just basically, it's a Goodwill. People come and they drop off, like, huge amounts of donations there from their collection. There was a video store that had donated all of its videos to the bin. So for a while we were finding all sorts of crazy VHS. Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually one here. I am broadcasting from Ojai, California, and nearby is Oxnard, where there is a bins there. There's a Goodwill bins in Oxnard. I don't know if you knew that, but I ended up
didn't.
there one day. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe you can do some VHS hunting.
I think I'm gonna have to. I
Yeah.
went there once, and it was also when I went there, it was still like, do I want to go into a super crowded place where I know there's a lot of germs everywhere
Yeah.
in the middle? But yeah, people are wearing gloves. Got to wear your gloves. Dig through those bins. But
Yeah, well, I mean, you can find some cool stuff. Like, I was really excited to find this. Actually, for any VHS collectors out there, this my little tip for you. If you find a cut box, like this, someone decided to cut this VHS up, which really sucks when they do that.
oh
But
yeah, they
um,
would do that at video stores all the time.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I've
this
got a few
one,
like that.
I switched this one out with an Anchor Bay. The Anchor Bay VHS have these cool covers that I really like. They're sort of a little more unique, but they fit the cut box really well. This one, I found it originally was in this like giant VHS case, and then this little cover in there. We got this, and I was excited because I'd never seen this movie, and then when I talked to you, James, just about a week ago,
Yeah,
you'd mentioned something about maybe wanting to cover a wrestling something wrestling related.
Yeah,
So
I was
I
just
mentioned this, and you
yeah.
agreed to do that. So
And then it kind of sparked like, well, we should probably check out every Hulk Hogan movie because he is Hollywood Hulk Hogan after
he
all.
is Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood Hulk Hogan though is when he became the bad guy, right?
Yeah, he turned heel. And so
Kind
that's kind of rough for Mr. Nanny there.
did that sort of break your heart when he did I was like, what the hell is going on here
You know,
with
I
Hogan?
wasn't paying attention at the time. It like just kind of happened, and then I was at a friend's house, and they were super into watching wrestling, and I was like, oh, he's like dyed his beard black, and now he's
Yeah, now
like
he's an
kind of mean.
asshole.
Yeah, now he's like being an asshole.
We're like, what about us little Hulkamaniacs
I
though?
know. That was like
Like, what the hell?
it's so funny, like just that whole mystique. Like to remember being there when Hulk was like that huge is I mean you remember that and like kind of a lot of like the glamour's faded, now like around that and watching this movie in retrospect. I remember like the feelings of watching it at the time, and you can definitely see how much they're pushing how like great this guy is. Like this
Oh
is the
yeah.
greatest dude ever, and he's doing charity work, and he's got his little brother with him, and he's also kind of a creep in the movie, which is also a fun thing,
He is a
especially
creep.
in the boardroom when he
Oh yeah.
first meets the executive.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, Sam."
Do you think that this was Hogan, like in 1989 is when this came out?
Hmm.
So is this do you think this is the all-time like height of Hogan's popularity? That's what I was sort of wondering. I feel like 89 was he was pretty strong at that point,
Yeah,
like as far as his popularity was maybe at his peak, but maybe 90 92, maybe he peaked around then.
I don't know. 80s was. I feel like he peaked. He plateaued, but he was pretty much up there. Like he was at the top for a long time. So it's not like he was, so to speak, like on the downward trend yet. Anyway, maybe a little bit. You can kind of see it in a few of his matches and things that were on pay-per-views. Like I remember the 92 Royal Rumble in
Yeah.
specific where he pulls Sid Justice out. Like he kind of does like this jerk move because he got eliminated, and like he's trying to pull it off like he's in the right, but he just like basically like was a sore loser.
Yeah, so this though was
Pardon
this
me.
was Hogan's big first starring role. I mean, of course he was in Rocky 3.
Yeah,
Was that Thunder Lips? Is that what he was called in there? It's been
it
a
was
while since I've seen it.
Thunderlips. And I
Yeah.
think that was even before he was big in the WWF. I kind of feel like he did that when he was in AWA before the big
Right.
all the WrestleManias and all that. But I think he also did several cameos. I was trying to think of all the cameos he's done. Gremlins 2.
Yeah, he has that scene there where he
Yeah,
kind of pops out of nowhere.
he's in the movie theater. It's like
Yeah.
when the movie breaks and he's like, "I'll get you little guys. Turn the movie back on." And
I don't know why
I
I
like
sort
it.
of avoided No Holds Barred for so long. I don't know if I avoided it. I maybe I forgot about it, but I don't know. I always assumed it was sort of a slapstick like comedy, or like I don't know, like it was going to be sort of like DC Cab or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, this
So
is like the real deal. This is
yeah,
rip.
I feel like this movie is really weird because going into it, that's what I was sort of expecting, and it's actually really dark and has so many weird tonal shifts to it that I was like, what
Yeah,
the hell is going on here?
totally.
It's pretty like lighthearted, but then also it's goes really dark. It gets pretty violent. Um,
It does.
yeah, it feels some of the stuff comes out of left field. Just
There's some sexual assault in there.
sexual assault. There's like someone
Murder or
being
mention of murder, at
mention of
least.
murder. You know, I was kind of looking up a couple things about Hulk Hogan. I didn't even realize what his real name was for all
Oh,
this
Terry
time.
Bollea.
Yep,
Yeah.
Terry Gene Bollea. So that was sort of interesting. I thought maybe Hulk Hogan was related to Crocodile Dundee. You know, Paul Hogan.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I wonder if they're related. They sort of have a similar look, maybe in some ways. They're real tan.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's not a bicep. This
right.
is a bicep.
I think this might be the only movie that I've seen from this director. as well. The director Thomas J. Wright. I went on his Letterbox page, and it looks like he's got a couple other interesting movies that he did. One from 1991 called Deadly Game that looks sort of like where people are called to an island, and then they're sort of all these different occupations of the people, and they come to this island, and then they have to face this like sort of madman. It's like one of those what's the story where they
Like
all
battle royale sort of thing.
yeah, he's got
Yeah.
one like that. And then this movie that I think looked interesting from 92 called Chrome Soldiers with Gary Busey. And that's usually a pretty good sign of something good with Gary Busey in it.
Yeah.
I just watched a really great Gary Busey movie from 86 called Eye of the Tiger. And they play that song a lot in the movie. And that's another movie I've sort of avoided for a long time. And it's actually really good. Eye of the Tiger, if you come across that and you want a good Gary Busey banger,
Oh
that
man.
one delivers. It's got that guy Yaphet Kotto. He's in like Alien.
That James Bond movie. Which one was he in?
Yeah,
Live and Let Die. He
Live
was
and
in
Let
Live and Let
Die.
Die. Yeah.
And Running Man he's in with Jesse Ventura, who
Oh,
Jesse Ventura makes an appearance in No Holds
yeah.
Barred.
A little context around when the movie was released and
Yeah.
kind of I think why. I mean, it's really tied in. It's obviously tied into the WWF. It's I think is I'm not sure, but maybe Vince McMahon's a producer on it.
He is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's like it's all part of the same thing. At the same, they had this sort of synergistic thing happening where Zeus, the villain in the movie, is also a heel wrestler at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
having a feud with Hulk Hogan while Zeus is using the name Zeus is fighting Rip, who is Hulk Hogan in the movie,
Yeah.
and they were
Why didn't
doing
Hulk
it.
Hogan just call himself Hulk Hogan?
I know that's another thing. He had to be extra Hulk. He didn't use his signature leg drop. He had his like signature like bang you on the head like that. So they did a pay-per-view, I think, for Survivor Series 89. Like the Survivor Series, if you don't know, is like four man tag teams,
Mm-hmm.
and they go against each other. And the main event was Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Demolition versus Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, Zeus, and the Powers of Pain, I believe. And so that like main event was also that was part of the pay-per-view. And then if you paid extra, I think you get to watch No Holds Barred afterwards. So they like put them together.
Oh, nice.
You get like
I
a double header.
Yeah, I read it a little bit about this. They wanted to make this thing a real feud in the wrestling world, so they had they had something where they tried to play the storyline like Zeus was apparently angry because his character lost to Hulk Hogan in the movie or to Rip. So the
Oh,
real life
okay.
Zeus was like pissed.
Like, I can't fucking believe I lost to you in the movie.
But I mean, he agreed to it, obviously, to the script. And then
Yeah.
also he apparently was mad that uh
But
he
this
was
is all
like,
like kayfabe. This is like fake mad. This is like kind of
yeah,
scripted.
yeah, he's fake mad, but he was like he was not top build, he was below Hogan. So that was another one of his talking points, was that he was like really pissed
So
off
mad.
about this, like,
Oh, we've got to settle this in the ring for real now.
yeah. So then Zeus and Hogan fought in a tag team. Then it was Zeus and Macho Man, and Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Okay. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were tallies.
So they really continued this feud for a while, it seems. Another interesting thing I also read was that Hulk Hogan and McMahon like didn't like the original script of this movie, so they rewrote it together. It said in 72 hours in a Florida hotel room. So they came up with this brilliant. They're like,
This is a better idea.
the opening thing. I was quite pleased to see Jesse Ventura,
Yeah.
who's always been sort of a favorite of mine. And I've always been like pretty interested in him, even his like political stuff. One of the most interesting things, I think, after he stopped wrestling, I think it was 84, he had like blood clots in his lungs. He stopped wrestling, and he said that he thought that the blood clots in his lungs that developed, I think it was during a match, were due to like Agent Orange that he had was exposed to in Vietnam, because I believe he was like a Navy SEAL or
Yeah, something
like
like
a
that, right?
frogman or some elite like position. So he went to do the announcer thing, which he is sort of renowned as one of the greatest like
Oh
wrestling
yeah,
announcers.
amazing.
And he's great. Him and Mean
Yeah.
Gene really play off of each other really well. He also tried to unionize, get the wrestlers. I guess it was WrestleMania 2, right before they started it. He went into the locker rooms and talked to all of the other wrestlers and was trying to get them to join or start a union. And apparently, someone who it was unknown for a long time leaked this idea that Jesse was trying to do to McMahon. And then McMahon called him in. He was super pissed, I think the next day or the next week or something, and was like,
I don't want you doing this. No unions. I don't want you ever to talk about this again.
And like Jesse was, really pissed off about it, but he was just saying, these guys, if they don't take the fight up themselves, and like, screw it, I'm gonna hook myself up. Anyway, he didn't actually end up getting them to do it. But the interesting thing, how this ties into Hogan, is he found out years later, I believe it was during a court case, that Hulk Hogan was the one that actually that was the snitch. He went
Oh
to
geez.
McMahon and told him about that Jesse was doing this, because Hogan was making so much more money than everyone else. And like
Yeah.
they saw like in WrestleMania how much money that he was making, like as much as everyone combined. So of course he didn't want to unionize. Very interesting. Of course, I think Jesse has quite a beef with Hogan to this day about it.
Jesse Ventura, I've seen some outlandish outfits before, but this one takes the cake.
Mean Gene, how dare you criticize how I dress? I dress for the occasion, and this is a stupendous occasion, and I'm dressed, of course, stupendously.
So Rip is essentially Hulk Hogan plus little brother and trainer, essentially. And he wears blue. He has his rip sign where it's just like that. Rip him. He's doing that whenever he goes into a room or leaves it. Fun fact, in the opening scene, he is going into a wrestling match. There's a wrestler named Jake Bullet who has amazing hair, his big old hairstyle. And that wrestler is actually Axe from Demolition in real life, plays Jake Bullet.
I was noticing how out of shape people could be, and in fact, it sort of works to your advantage, if you're like King Kong Bundy, or
Oh yeah,
it was just like, if you were big, you didn't
Yeah.
have to be like ripped or like Hogan. You just
He
had to be
were
big.
heavy. Yeah,
Yeah,
there was like
and you could
what?
just be
There's
like,
some
oh
big
shit,
guys.
he's tough.
Yeah, like who else is just big?
Well,
Earthquake.
Andre's obviously big.
Yeah, Yokozuna.
George
Action.
Animal Steel, he was pretty just
Yeah.
kind of big, just kind of a slob.
Yeah. Who else?
Hacksaw
Later
Jim
on.
Duggan, he wasn't that big, but
No.
yeah, I mean, like Honky Tonk Man, he was just
Yeah.
out of shape. Basically, he was just
Jake Roberts for sure. He's just
Yeah.
kind of like
just like a regular
walking
guy.
around. Yeah.
You didn't have to really. Yeah, it's sort of
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, so Bill Eadie, Axe from Demolition and Rip, they go at it in the ring, and it's action packed, and
The ratings are huge.
Oh, they're huge.
The ratings
Oh,
are through the roof.
dude, this
'Cause
makes our
'cause of
main
Rip.
villain very, very upset. Mr. Brell, his name is.
That guy that plays so there's like a villain in here who's the head of a I can't remember what it's like something like
The
World Television
Network, I believe.
he
Yeah,
plays
something Brell.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Fred Fuller or what was his name?
Yeah,
well, he's in a lot
he's
of
like a character actor. He's in a lot of stuff.
yeah, he's always a dick.
Yeah.
He was in like Ghostbusters 2, and yeah, he's pretty funny. He's just he sees Rip wrestling, and he's just like irate about this.
Yeah, he's
gotta
like,
get
this
him.
guy's taking my ratings.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna get him over to our network, and they're like, he's already got a contract though. He won't take no for an answer.
I love that. And now I'm just picturing Vince McMahon and Hogan writing the story. He needs to Rip so badly that he's gonna like cause all these problems. He also, Mr. Brell in the movie likes to call Rip a JockASS.
Yeah, that's
There's all these like new put down terms like
that like a JockASS sounds
JockASS.
like something that you would tell me that your son is calling people. I'm like,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
is he
yeah.
calling someone a JockASS? You JockASS.
You JockASS!
I know.
Like he maybe like McMahon was like,
Yeah, instead of like a jackass, he's like a jock. So we'll just, you know, that's a really great insult.
Also, when they're in the boardroom meeting and he's talking to that, or he's saying like, all right, I want all your ideas, everyone shoot. And the woman goes, I have an idea for a sitcom. And he goes, Mrs. So-and-so, take a leak.
yeah, there's a lot of really weird
Weird dialogue
in this movie. But right out of the gates, one of the things I appreciated most about it was just it's just bleeding with the 80s. All the colors.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, the sets, the locations are super cool, like the bar that they go to. So basically Mr. Brell goes and he discovers this new style of wrestling in this wrestling bar. And it's super great place. Like that's where I want to go to that place in the 80s and try to hang out. And then the bathroom in there is just like overflowing with like piss, and it reminded me of like punk rock clubs that you go to where you're just like, oh boy, like who actually uses this bathroom? So they start this this new wrestling league, which is it's like tough guy
battle of the
or-
tough guys.
like, oh,
that's
what an
the
original name.
All right, it's gonna be a battle, and they're gonna be tough guys.
So
Battle of the tough guys.
We don't want to confuse anyone with what's going on
No.
here. I guess that his plan is to sort of force Hogan into this weird new no holds barred competition.
He just wants to like get ratings, and yeah.
I kind of viewed it as that maybe that was his master plan, was to get Rip involved.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
Mr. Bell's gonna go to any extent to get ratings. Apparently,
he traps him in a limo, right?
Oh yeah. Let's go to that part. So
Yeah.
there's just so much grunting. So we've got the match. Mr. Brell gets set. He says, "All right, we need to get Rip on the network." He has a meeting with Hulk Hogan. He tries to force Hogan in a way. He says, "A blank check. Come on onto my network." And Hogan's like, starts to get mad, and then he
makes him eat the check.
Over. That's right. He says that.
Yeah, he stuffs it in his mouth.
I won't be around when this check clears.
I won't be around when this check clears.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's
it is a good one.
line.
He had a couple of good one-liners in here too.
I love when he's leaving the meeting after that. He's leaving, and he's like, he turns around as he leaves through the door and goes, her. And then leaves again.
Right.
He like does his hand sign.
That's another brilliant thing that that they wrote together in the hotel room.
The hand sign?
Probably. The plot of the movie and everything feels like it would be the two, like something that they came up with. And also this movie's definitely plays out a lot more like an action movie than I was thinking. There's high stakes in the movie.
Action star for sure.
Yeah. He feels less like a Stallone, and he almost seems more like a Lou Ferrigno Hulk. He's ripping doors off of cars.
That's right.
And he's like, when they trap him
out the top. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and when they trap him in the limo, I guess they're taking him to that warehouse so they'll kick his ass, or like what's really going on there?
Yeah. Burl calls the limo driver, says, take him to the warehouse to beat him up.
It's funny, you got Hulk Hogan in the back of the limo.
The world's worst limo driver who can't handle the road when there's someone in the back kicking the door.
And it is like Hogan has superhuman strength in here, which is kind of cool because he's kicking the door and you can see on the outside there's like dents coming out, and then he's kicking so hard that the guy's like can't drive the limousine correctly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's kicking so hard, I'm gonna go off the road. And one of the weirdest parts of the movie takes place after he does jump out of he bursts through the roof of the limo and fights like 20 guys.
Yeah.
And then, the scene, probably that anyone who's seen this movie knows this Dookie, like seeing that for the first time, not knowing that was coming. I was like, did he pee his pants or what? And, it's so gross. They zoom in on the guy's butt, who's like the limo driver. and Hogan's gonna,
Soiled.
getting ready to kick his ass, and it's just dripping. I don't know. It's like super watery diarrhea. Totally disgusting. And it makes Hogan so mad. He's like, "What is that smell?" And the guy's,
Dookie.
and he's like, "Dookie." It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know how that
Dude.
shit literally, no pun intended, made it into that movie.
Hogan's facial expressions are on par with Jim Carrey here. Like, if you watch him, he's like when he grabs the guy who's Dookie.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
doing that thing, all that stuff with his face.
They also bring in, give him a little bit of a love interest in the movie as
yeah,
well.
you got to do that. I guess she's supposed to seduce him.
Just go seduce Hogan.
No,
and then what? I don't know. I assumed that she was going to fall for Hogan, but I wonder if any women or men out there. I mean, is Hulk Hogan hot? I've never could tell if he's hot or not. Like, is he?
Well, you
I don't know.
saw
Is he hot? I mean, what do you think? Do you think he's hot or not?
Well, you saw his butt when he was doing those push-ups in the hotel room.
So he shares a hotel room with with the woman who's sort of infiltrating him,
Her name's Sam. Yeah.
And Joan Severance, I think she's been in mainly like erotic thrillers and stuff in the 90s. She was in that movie Black Scorpion. Have you ever heard of Black Scorpion?
No.
It's like she's like a female superhero in black, like leather. There's 2 movies. I think I've only seen the first one. I was surprised to see her in this movie, and then her also falling for Hogan, because I just trying to figure out, is Hogan hot? Like, I don't know.
I mean, that golden hair, what is there of his hair?
Yeah.
His outfit's like just spandex everywhere he goes.
It's spandex, except for when she takes him out to eat to the fancy restaurant.
Yeah, where he obviously hates French people. Him and Vince in the writing the script. There's this snobby French waiter. Vince had a snobby French waiter.
We hate French
earlier.
people, right? Yeah. And then Hogan sort of ends up being a connoisseur, of course, of good food.
He's like perfect. He's like the perfect human. That's what they're setting. Setting him up. He's like, there's no flaws in his character.
The whole hotel scene is really weird. He even puts up a little curtain because they end up having to share a hotel room. And he puts a curtain up to be courteous. She wakes up next to him, and obviously we probably were supposed to think he was wanking. I was like, oh my God, Hulk Hogan's wanking. And then instead you get a good view of his ass moving up and down as he's doing his push-ups. So
I mean, that's not very considerate to put your feet up on a bed where someone's sleeping and do your push-ups there. I'm sure there was a chair or a desk he could put his feet on.
Yeah, there's a very, very strange movie, but Mr. Brell's plans, they don't work because she obviously falls for Hulk Hogan because he's such a hunk.
Oh yeah. He gets mad at her at the end of that hotel scene because the bed breaks and she ends up like lying on him, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "You don't have a sense of humor." But they do go to a local diner before they go to the hotel, where everyone seems to know Rip. Like, he's like a local there.
He's everyone loves him everywhere he goes.
I know.
They
everything he does and everywhere he goes, they're like, "Rip, oh Rip, champ, Rip."
He's just a real American hero.
Which is very convenient for this diner to get robbed while he's there.
I know, I'm like, really? Come on. So then he's throwing plates at everyone, and
I know he's
food.
Yeah, he's throwing food at this guy who has a gun. 2 guys rush into the diner while he's eating dinner there, or eating lunch there with Joan Severance or Sam. He already knows the owner of the diner. It's established that like they're all chummy and
and she would marry him if she wasn't married. Oh my God, I would marry. Like, geez.
Then he comments on her weight, and it's but you're a whole lot of woman.
Yep.
Oh, Rip.
And she loves it. She's like, that's great. And then this other thing that they always do in these movies, which they do it here, it's like, okay, if you're gonna like save everyone from the criminals, can you do it without like breaking everything in the I
was thinking the same
everything in the place. I'm trying to remember what the name of the movie is escaping me. There's a really great movie with Dan Haggerty, Repo Jake. He does the same damn thing, you know, like Grizzly Adams.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the movie, he saves this guy's, I think, convenience store, literally like smashes windows, everything is just destroyed. And the people that own the business in these are always like, oh, thank you. So, oh, that's so great.
I'm
he did that
thinking
thing
like the
again.
property damage probably costs more than what they had in the cash register.
Oh, totally.
So it's like Rip's like, all right, I'm gonna throw every piece of food at this guy who
Yeah.
has a gun,
Let me take every plate
and then I'm gonna put him on the diner or on the
and run him
main-
down the.
Yeah, just throw him down. He's gonna knock everything over, throw the other guy over it to knock off a bunch of shelves and equipment and who knows what. And they're just like, oh,
Yep,
Rip.
everyone loves it. Rip can do no wrong. When does Zeus actually get into the equation again? He
So,
comes
he
in.
just kind of pops in. So this is after Brell and the two cronies, the two executives who are like, I think they're trying to in the movie, I think they try to imply that they're gay. Weird.
I think
some really
someone in the
homophobic
bar
stuff.
makes some sort of a comment to them, like, "Yeah, the gay bar is across the street or something,"
Yeah.
and they're like, "Who?"
But yeah, so they all go to that dive bar where there's that octagonal ring that's like falling apart, and they're like just people beating each other up, and Brell's like, "This is gonna be the new show," and that's when he
And Zeus sort of just arrives
he
from
just
a
shows
door,
up.
right? He's like,
No, he knocks a wall over. I
yeah,
think.
he comes through
It's
like a
like,
wall or something. and-
him, and then he's like the other half of the grunts of the movie. Like, first half is all Hogan, Rip grunts, and the other half is like Zeus's grunts and face.
Yeah. Okay. So here's another question about Zeus. So his eye,
Yeah.
is
he's
his
got-
eye like always like that, or is he trying to make his eye like that?
I think it's always like that.
Okay,
think
because that
he's
really
got-
works in his favor.
Oh yeah, it works great. And they also, when he first shows up, they totally do a close up of his eyes. Like,
Yeah, and he's got like this crazy unibrow too that looks
Yeah.
like it's like glued onto his.
I think
know.
that one. I think that one may be fabricated. I don't.
Yeah.
I think that one might not be real.
Right, and he's got the Z on his head, like a little
Oh,
bit of
yeah.
hair.
Do you remember in like 89, 90 when it was like all the rage to just shave letters and things into
Yeah.
your head?
Yeah, that must have
Steps,
been.
lines. I had the lines when I
Oh,
was
you
in
had the
high school.
lines?
Yeah, like steps going up
Nice.
the side. But yeah, he
Yeah.
just shows up and it's
Yeah,
a rating sensation. Meanwhile, at Rip's house, he's there with his trainer and his
Oh, yeah,
brother
yes.
and his brother's friend and his brother's girlfriend, and they're all hanging out. And
how much older do you think Hogan is than his younger brother?
I don't know how old his little brother would be.
Yeah, he seems like a lot younger, though. It just, and I didn't even think that his little brother was going to play much of a role in this movie, but he's sort of the main catalyst. That's one of the most disturbing aspects of the movie is just how many times the tone shifts to something really, really dark. His younger brother ends up confronting Zeus
Yeah.
and actually sort of fights him for a little bit.
Yeah.
Does kind of okay.
Well, he just starts hitting Zeus.
He just kind
actually.
of starts hitting him, and then kind of they, do their thing, but then he like really injures him severely.
Yeah, he like beats him to the point of going to the hospital and
Yeah.
needing physical therapy.
He's basically sort of like paralyzed.
Yeah.
And that's when the stakes are really high. This whole movie was the opposite of what I thought it was going to be. I mean, it actually had sort of a serious side to it. It's sort of like a legit action movie starring Hogan. I mean, I don't know if this movie was definitely the one that I would think would catapult him into like Schwarzenegger status or something. He starred in a lot of really, really like low budget B-level action movies in the 90s, like with Shannon Tweed and stuff. Is No Holds Barred Hogan's best movie? I think it could be.
It
It's
could
either
be.
this one or Suburban Commando is actually really good too, with Christopher Lloyd in there.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about being in his living room watching Zeus on TV, and then his trainer is like, I can't believe they let him out. And they're like, what? And like, Zeus, I used to be his trainer too, and he killed a man in the ring.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, so Zeus is like, was in jail.
He was always playing people that were in prison. There's a lot
Yeah.
of prison roles for him. He was in this movie called Prison, this horror movie.
Oh,
It's there's a lot of other stuff where he's like he's ex-con or he's in prison. You had mentioned he was in The Fifth Element.
yeah, he was the president in
Okay.
Fifth Element, so that's a shift for him.
Yeah, he took sort of a different role there. And then obviously Friday is his, everyone knows him for that.
Yeah,
Such a great movie.
so
He has
fun.
like no character
Yeah,
development at all. He's just like a mindless monster
yeah, for sure.
that is there to just destroy everything and put people in wheelchairs and
Yeah.
go ballistic.
Rip's younger brother and his younger brother's friend, who's just kind of hanging out. We never really like get to know who he is. He just shows up one day and he's just hanging all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
they go to one of the Battle of the Tough Guys filmings. Then they like wear Rip'em shirts.
Oh yeah, they show up there at the
Yeah, they're not
event.
like trying to be. They're not trying to like be incognito or anything. They're just like, all right, we're here. We love Rip. There's some kind of commotion. They have to like run off, and they run into Mr. Brell, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, Mr. Brell's like, oh, we converted Rip fans," and he's like, "This is Rip's brother."
Right. They're
And I go,
basically
"Oh."
just there to move the plot along to make
Yeah,
Hulk
yeah.
Hogan have to fight.
Yeah, to like, yeah, to
They're like,
give him a
why are we
reason.
here? I don't know. Like, let's wear Rip shirts. This has nothing to do with us anymore. But
And this is after Zeus and Brell show up at the charity event, and
in
like,
a helicopter,
yeah, along with the two cronies.
it's so good. Yeah, so ridiculous.
Circling back to Sam and what's going on with that. So she's trying to, or she's supposed to seduce Rip. She goes to Brell and says, "I can't seduce him. He's a really nice guy."
He's just a nice guy. I can't do that to him.
Yeah, so Brell like hits
She's
her.
got the passion and
Yeah.
fire for him. You can tell.
Totally.
He's a really nice guy.
But
And then they send Brell sends like some hitmen to go after her.
yeah, to like rape her.
To rape her. But I was just like, what is
Yeah.
going on here? This is not a kid's movie. I mean,
I
what is
know.
this? I gotta see. What is this movie rated? PG-13. It seems a little dark for a PG-13.
Well, back then I think there was some pretty loose on the PG-13 stuff.
Oh, definitely.
It's pretty gnarly that point, but Rip shows up on his motorcycle, so he saves the day.
Saves the day.
It's pretty awesome when he just chases that guy down in his motorcycle, which seems very hard to maneuver, but he gets
Yeah,
it.
isn't he like the guy sort of on the front of the motorcycle and he's like driving with him on it?
Yeah, he ends up getting him up on there somehow.
Well, he's Hogan. He's
Yeah, he
he's
can
got
do
some
anything.
skills.
He's pretty amazing. He's just kind of perfect.
I don't know about the choreography, like how great these action sequences really were.
Yeah.
It seems like Hogan's a little better when he's just in the ring and it's like I mean, I guess it's choreographed and stuff, but I guess it was so cartoony. I mean, I appreciated that aspect of it.
Yeah.
The cartoony like fighting that they did. He like threw some people up in trees and
He threw people through crates,
yeah,
through
just
the windows of that limo, tore the door off of the window.
the pacing's really good for how stupid it is. It's a
Yeah.
really, really well paced. It's never boring.
One thing I want to talk about is Zeus's psychedelic training gym.
Oh yeah.
It's like, so after Zeus beats up Randy,
Mhm.
Rip's pissed, right? He shows up at Zeus's gym,
Right.
and it's like weird, like fun house. Like, well, it's got the ring in it. It has a regular wrestling ring instead of an octagon, which I was kind of bummed about because he
Yeah.
gets the octagon.
And wasn't there some sort of like video loop going
Yeah.
to like get
Of
Zeus?
Brell
keep
saying,
him-
"Rip hates you.
Yeah.
Rip thinks you suck."
That's so-
Rip
that was
thinks you're a
Mick-
ding dong.
McMahon and Hogan's probably idea.
This would be
Yeah.
great. Just like over and over.
Rip goes into another room, and it's like a weird funhouse room with mirrors, and he
Mm-hmm.
sees like what looks like Zeus, like standing there like this. And then
Yeah.
he runs up and is like, "Oh,"
Oh,
and breaks some mirror, and it's so ridiculous.
it's so ridiculous. Everything about this movie is it's like
Amazing.
mind numbing.
But yeah, so he's got his gym. He goes there and he's like, "I'm gonna fight you." And so the fight's on, right? The final fight. Brell's finally got Rip to get angry enough to fight Zeus because he wants revenge for what he
Yep.
did to his brother. And then they do the training montages where Zeus is training and
Mhm.
Rip is just like helping his brother at the
Yeah, that's
hospital.
great. He's like trying to nurse
Yeah.
him back and trying to help him like walk and stuff.
But I'm
And it's
just like,
not working.
irresponsible if you're actually like training for a fight, Rip. I mean,
That is true.
like, come on, I understand you want to be there for your brother,
But you got to get pumped up.
yeah,
You know, you
come
got to
on.
work it. But he is Hogan. He's just got the sheer rage. But
Yeah.
Brell decides, from what I remember, he sort of wants Hogan to throw the fight, right? So it's
Yep.
like, you just do really good for like 10 minutes and then it's over. So it's
And
not
this is
even like
yeah. So what's
real
his
fight.
bargaining chip here? They all show up to the fight, which is like a fancy like room with the octagon in the middle. The octagon's really nice now. Everyone that's watching is like dressed up like they're all these fancy rich people. But so they all show up. Rip shows up. He's there. He's ready. Then Sam and his brother and his whole entourage shows up. And somehow they kidnap Sam while she's there. So they've got Sam kidnapped, and that's when Brell says, "You got to throw the fight, or
Yeah,
like,
or she's
we're gonna beat her up just like we beat up your brother."
so Hogan has no
Similar
choice.
threats. Yeah. So the whole time he's just like, bum. He's like, oh, because Brell knows that Hogan would really, or Rip would really win in the end.
Someone with trainer, they go, he's like, go find her.
It's
Go
it's
find
his
Sam
brother's friend.
that we don't know much about.
Yeah, he's just the other guy.
She gets away on her own, right?
Yeah, because everyone's so into the fight, and they're all like, when you watch them, they're like, yeah, kill him, yeah, and they're like so into the fight that she just kind of sneaks out the back.
That's when
So
you
she-
know
yeah.
shit's gonna go down, because then
Yeah.
Hogan doesn't have
Yeah, but he
hold
still
back
thinks he
anymore.
has to, so he
Yeah.
doesn't know until they all finally make it down to the floor, and he keeps looking over at Randy. And he's just like, "Come on, Rip." He's just like, "Oh, Randy, Rip, come on, Rip." Oh, there's a lot of good tears. Hogan did bring the tears in the
He brought the
hospital.
tears,
Yeah,
and it's a long ass fight too. I think that once he realizes that Sam's safe now,
Yeah.
he can really let Zeus have it, and we get a pretty good beatdown on Zeus.
yeah. We get the signature Hogan like thing where
Yeah.
like people hit him and he just doesn't affect him. Oh, also in the match, Zeus tries to impale his head with a pole, which is
Yeah,
also
doesn't he like
another-
break a
He
metal
breaks a-
pole?
off of the ring, and he tries to smash like this jagged pole.
Yeah,
through
like he was
Rip's
gonna
head.
he's gonna
Yeah.
impale him there, like
Yeah.
through his head.
And I was
But of
just like,
course, Hogan's reflexes are so fast, he gets out of the way. But so he defeats Zeus with his signature, whatever that I don't know. I would have preferred maybe a different move than his
Yeah.
like whatever club, or like a drop kick would have been cool.
the double axe handle is like the kind of the lamest move in wrestling.
But then it even gets darker with, spoiler to anyone who is watching this or don't want to know the what happens to Brell. I mean, this is another example of
Yeah.
the movie going really dark all of a sudden.
First, well, just as a preface, the match starts turning towards Rip, right? Rip's winning. Brell is freaking out in the control room, and he starts unplugging everything and
Mhm.
like ripping apart, like he's like doesn't want it to be on the air. And I'm thinking like, this is what you wanted in the first place in the beginning of the movie. You wanted him on your network. You've got him.
There he is.
He's beating Zeus, but why does that matter to you anymore? Because you're getting ratings.
The
right?
ratings are going to be through the roof.
But then he just starts like unplugging everything, and you could see like, broadcast terminated signs, and you're just like, bro, like this was like this is like why you did this was to get him, and now you're like not letting people watch it. It's because by this point he just hates Rip so much, he just does not want him to see him.
Well, he gets a rude awakening when he gets electrocuted and dies.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
He backs up. He's like, because Rip's coming after him. Rip goes into the control room. He's like, stay away from me, JockASS. And like,
yep. He's like, stop calling me JockASS. And he gets it
electrocuted.
And then they sort of celebrate. They're like, yeah.
I think the credits roll right then.
Yeah, I think it's just a very abrupt ending.
Well, so before he goes into the control room, though, Rip does knock Zeus off like the top level into the ring.
I like the whole effect of when he falls in the center and the whole ring's just like there's like a little like crater with him in
a
it.
Zeus-sized crater. Did he die too?
He probably died.
Yeah. Rip.
No one cares though. In this movie, it's fine. I mean, I guess it was sort of comedic in ways, but comedic, dark, pretty good fight scenes. It's like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Like I said, like it's like a Lou Ferrigno when he shoots through the roof of the car and busts busts through the roof of the car. It's like literally
Dude,
could have
that
been
is
the
cool.
Hulk.
So he busts out while jumping out.
Yeah.
So it like explodes as he jumps out of the top of the limo.
When did you see this movie first? When you were a kid or what?
It probably wasn't right when it came out. I'm sure I saw it like at least like 1990, 91 maybe. I know I saw it before Suburban Commando because I saw that in the theater. At the time, I was like, me and my cousins were watching a lot of wrestling. But
So you were sort of a fan of it already?
yeah, I was getting into the wrestling a bit more right when the movie came out, and I had a run there where I was very into wrestling and to the point where I'd go see matches. I did see Hulk live once, like do a wrestling match.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I even got
Oh,
his
nice.
autograph. And I wish I still had it. Seeing wrestling live like that was also really interesting because you don't hear commentary and you're just kind
Oh
of
yeah,
watching it.
you're just watching it. I always felt bad for the guys that on like whatever it was Saturday morning if they had the wrestling. I
On
can't
Wrestling
remember.
Challenge or Super.
And it was like the guys
jobbers.
that would just get beat. They have
Yeah.
like you just knew when you saw it, even as a kid, you're like, oh, that guy's not gonna. He's losing for sure.
People call them jobbers.
They're
And
jobbers.
their whole thing is just to get the other wrestler over. Yeah, and
I
a
wonder
lot
if
of the
any of the-
times they just get these guys that were local wrestlers and be like, "Here's your chance to be on TV." Like,
You're gonna get your
Yeah.
ass kicked.
yeah, Dusty Rhodes is
okay.
gonna beat you up in like 2 minutes.
I remember watching wrestling. I think it was one of the main events on a Saturday night. The main event would come on instead of like Saturday Night Live sometimes.
Yeah. Saturday night's main event would be on at 10:30, and I remember sometimes it wasn't Saturday Night Live.
Well, I was always happy to have wrestling come on,
Yeah.
but my dad was always like, "Oh God," and I'd be like, "We got to watch this." I'd be
Yeah.
all into it. I remember laying on the floor, and he was like, "Yeah, that's fake, right?" And I said, "What? It's fake." And they're not really fighting. And I was like, "Yeah, they are. Of course it's real." He's like, "No, it's fake. Watch when he punches, he slams his foot on the mat to make a noise." And I was like, remember that night I was thinking about it a lot because I was like, how can it be fake? It's totally real. It was on my mind for a while. It kind of bothered me.
Yeah.
And then I still didn't know for sure for a while after that. I was like watching it like, yeah, maybe it is fake. I was a little bummed as a kid that all of, the little Hulkamaniacs were sort of being lied to.
There was one thing that happened, I think, in the 90s when they were getting pressure from like a sports commission, and McMahon's like, "Oh no, it's entertainment. It's not.
Oh, yeah,
wrestling,
yeah.
it's entertainment."
Yeah.
So like he was like trying to like move that around. Yeah.
Did you ever
so
see
there's a lot of those?
there's a really great clip. It's one of my favorite like intimidation or whatever they call it when like the bad guys but it was Ultimate Warrior giving, he's getting ready to fight Hogan or there's a match coming up.
Yeah.
His rant is like
The
where,
promos. It's a
where I
promo.
was like calling him like Hulk Hogan.
Yo, Hulk Hogan.
Like it's like Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we
Hogan.
can find a clip of that.
So back to the movie before we wrap up here.
Yeah, we got to bring JockASS back. Like
Yeah.
when you get mad at someone, you got to pull that one out first.
Yeah.
Revive JockASS. I know you watched it on Tubi, right?
Yeah.
I apparently like to make things real difficult for myself and just watch it on VHS. But I think this may be Hogan's best movie.
Yeah.
I haven't actually heard people rave about this one that much, but it hit all the right beats for me. Just the right amount of stupid. It wasn't slapstick, which I was ready for a slapstick style movie, but I like that it went in so many different directions that actually really surprised me. I wasn't expecting half the stuff to happen the way it did, right?
That wraps it up.
Yeah. I never got bored with No Holds Barred. It was a good 80s, super solid movie that I think probably needs to be talked about a little bit more. I might even upgrade. Maybe I'll put this for sale in the shop and get the Blu-ray of it because I see that there was a Blu-ray. I don't know. I'd like to check that out.
Get some of the commentary, the special
Yeah.
features.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what's on there. But
That's a good one.
yeah, so that's
All right.
it for Universal Dork's first YouTube video.
That's it. Well, thanks
All
for
right.
checking it out, everyone. And
Yeah. Pass it along.
I guess like and subscribe. That's what the YouTubers say.
Like and subscribe.
It really helps.
Hit that like button.
You jockass!